All right, Sash. So you mentioned in promotional content and numerous articles that you've done via magazine, television, etc., that consistency is the key. Can you give us an idea of how consistency's helped both in your lead up to WBC and also as a business owner and with all your espresso bars, with Project Origin and Honor Coffee?
God, where do I start with the consistency and how much time you're gonna give me to answer the question? I mean, I was fortunate enough to be part of so many different chains of coffee, being a producer, green bean buyer, someone that wants to push new processing techniques. Also, roasting, not myself personally, but my team, and being a barista for so many years. And consistency is definitely a key in a coffee, and it's something that's very hard for us to get. And we start with a product that's not consistent itself. We can have same coffee from the same farm, and due to the rainfall and then microclimate and all of the other conditions, the taste of that coffee is going to change. So I think we need to start chasing that consistency all the way from the farm level to a cup. And you mentioned the Project Origin and WBC, so I guess I can link to the new fermentation technique that we've invented, carbonic maceration. And we came up with that technique in order to achieve that consistency. So we wanted to ferment the coffee in controlled environment where we can control humidity, temperature, and we can control the ambient and have the measurements the way we measure the pH, CO2 of the fermentation, sugars of the fermentation, alcohols. So we have that data that we can sort of replicate that process following time if we've liked the coffee, or if we did not like the coffee, we can change it to what we believe coffee should taste like. And for me, for WBC, and it was very important to work with that coffee that I can expect certain flavor characters rather than have a surprise. Today it tastes like this, tomorrow it tastes like that, and to develop the consistent product from the farm that I can deliver to consumers and judges. And in order to bring that inside of the cup, there's a beautiful long story. What happens is how that coffee is traveled, if it's traveled in a controlled environment or not, how we store the coffee and how we roast the coffee as well. I remember for my WBC coffee, Sammy was controlling humidity and temperature of the environment where coffee was roasted, so we can have the same air coming inside of the roaster that has the same amount of water. And so again, one day if we have 30% of humidity and following day 70, then we have this another variable. I guess steps went all the way to what sort of water we're going to have on the machine, to the detail of not having even this tool at the end, to if everything comes together the way we would like it to come together when we extract coffee and the way we distribute coffee. Obviously we can try to maintain the consistency and highlight all the work that we've done from the farm through roasting inside of the cup. So it's a great to have amazing product and push, I guess, the industry by innovating the processing and roasting, and to have that potential that we can have great product at the end. But in the same time, anytime when we push the boundaries and when we develop something new, we also need to think, how do we keep that high level consistently, and how do we maintain that for every cup that we make. And with the new tools that we've seen in the industry, new innovations, it's been pleasing to see when I travel throughout the world that coffees are tasting more and more consistent. And I guess the platform was, and at least what we do in Honor Coffee as well, like for anything that we do in WBC preparations, in competitions, we'll have this year Kelly or Sam, they'll lock themselves in a training room and they do this R&D with two things in mind. I want to push the flavor and I want to push the quality. And once we can experience these new flavors out of the coffee that we have not had before, the next thing is, well, how can I replicate this consistently on the stage? And when we do it on the stage, then we think, well, how can we replicate this in our coffee shops? I mean, great, tasty coffee should not and being ending up only with the 4 judges. That we give them that experience. It's more like research and development with the judges, and if they like it, and if we maybe are lucky enough to hold the trophy, it's a really good sign that we have achieved something great. And then next challenge will be, how do we replicate this experience in our coffee shops for everyday customer? Being able to employ the staff and to sort of have team of people behind the machine in a coffee shop that they can rely on a great machine and great equipment and great coffee and great systems, and make coffee approachable and easy to make and like systemized. In my opinion, I believe the future of that process is to rely on technology and baristas to be more trained with the customer service and with the product knowledge, rather than being so focused on technical things. So we sort of create that bit of that gap between us and the customers. So the more new technology is good, and I think some people were saying our barista is going to be replaced by machines. But I don't think so. Like, I think baristas will have a chance to do what they love more, which is sharing great coffees and communicating your great coffees to customers. And I think this is probably completely now different question, and God knows what I'm saying, but as I said, I'm a little bit weird with that. But I think like job of our baristas in a coffee shops is obviously to push the flavor as much as they can and to push the taste, but to give value to that coffee as well. And we can give value to the coffee not only by serving a great coffee, but how that coffee is presented and how we've communicated about that coffee. And so we need to all think of the solutions. How do we allow baristas to have a little bit more time in a busy environments, and how do we help them to control variables, and they can have that more consistent product with the way we make coffees technically, so they can concentrate more on communicating coffee rather than just preparing the coffee and challenging themselves to achieve consistency.
Giving the customer the full experience.
Yeah.
The full experience.
Yeah.
Excellent. Love it.
Yeah, no, it helps. Like, if we can comfortably deliver 10 espressos that taste very identical, and we can expect that they're going to have that same taste, and having that confidence, it's a lot better feeling than serving the espresso and we're not really sure whether that was that experience that maybe another customer experienced an hour ago. I think technology and new tools and new gadgets, it's definitely future, in my opinion.
Very good.